Samsy. Hey guys, here we are. We finally made it to Devil's Canyon Campground in the Manti-La National Forest, and we's leaving. We gotta continue on trying to get our way to Needles, and we're gonna listen to the Time Machine Part 4. Now, when we left this thing off, the time traveler had stopped and was trying to figure out exactly what was going on. He was a little bit disappointed with the people he had found. He thought they was maybe simpletons, and none of it seemed to be adding up. He was looking around, and things seemed to be old and in disrepair and that kind of thing, and he really couldn't quite figure out what was going on. So we'll pick him up when he's there. It was evidently the derelict remains of some vast structure. To what end built I could not determine. It was here that I was destined at a later date to have a very strange experience. The first intimidation of a still stranger discovery. But of that I will speak in its proper place. Alright, so yeah, we get out of that campground, we hang a left, we heading into Banning and Monticello. I guess we're already through Banning. So we're heading up towards Monticello. This campground, this Devil's Canyon thing, is there's some spots right there on the left, right there. Is a real nice little campground. There's lots of hiking around it. It's about 13 miles south of Monticello. So we're heading up towards Monticello. We're trying to get to the Needles campground, and we eventually get there. Okay, but of that I will speak in its proper place. Looking around with a sudden thought, from a terrace on which I rested for a while, I realized that there were no small houses to be seen. Apparently, the single house, and possibly even the household, had vanished. Here and there, among the greenery, were palace-like buildings. But the house and the cottage, which form such characteristic features of our own English landscape, had disappeared. Communism? Said I to myself. And on the heels of that came another thought. I looked at the half-dozen little figures that were following me. Then in a flash, I perceived that all had the same form of costume, the same soft, hairless visage, and the same girlish rotundity of limb. It may seem strange, perhaps, that I had not noticed this before, but everything was so strange. Now, I saw the fact plainly enough, in costume and in all the differences of texture and bearing that now mark off the sexes from each other. These people of the future were alike, and the children seemed to my eyes to be but the miniatures of their parents. I judged then that the children of that time were extremely precocious, physically at least. Precocious? Yeah, that's what it says. I was going to say precarious, but no, precocious. Physically at least, and I found afterwards abundant verification of my opinion. Seeing the ease and security in which these people were living, I felt that this close resemblance of the sexes was, after all, what one would expect. For the strength of a man and the softness of a woman, the institution of the family, and the differentiation of occupations are mere militant necessities of an age of physical force, where population is balanced and abundant. Much childbearing becomes an evil rather than a blessing to the state. where violence comes but rarely and offspring are secure. There is less necessity, indeed there's no necessity, for an efficient family. And the specialization of the sexes with reference to their children's needs disappears. We see some beginnings of this in our own time, and in this future age it was complete. This, I must remind you, was my speculation at the time. Later, I was to appreciate how far it fell short of the reality. While I was musing upon these things, my attention was attracted by a pretty little structure, like a well under a cupola. I thought in a transitory way of the oddness of wells still existing, and then resumed the thread of my speculations. There were no large buildings towards the top of the hill, and as my walking powers were evidently miraculous, I was presently left alone for the first time. With a strange sense of freedom and adventure, I pushed on up to the crest. There, I found a seat of some yellow metal that I did not recognize, corroded in places with a kind of pinkish rust, and half smothered in soft moss, the armrests cast and filled into the resemblance of griffins' heads. I sat down on it, and I surveyed the broad view of our old world under the sunset of that long day. It was as sweet and fair a view as I have ever seen. The sun had already gone below the horizon, and the west was flaming gold, touched with some horizontal bars of purple and chrysmal. Below was the valley of the Thames, in which the river lay like a band of burnished steel. I have already spoken of the great places dotted about among the variegated greenery, some in ruins and some still occupied. Here and there rose a white or silvery figure in the waste garden of the earth. Here and there came the sharp vertical line of some cupola or obelisk. There were no hedges, no signs of property rights, no evidence of agriculture. The whole earth had become a garden. Okay, let's take a look at this drive here. We're rolling into Monticello. We're gonna grab us some fuel, and then we'll move on. So yeah, I don't think anything exciting happens here. I don't recall any dancing bears or alien landings or anything like that. So I'm just gonna put my head back down here and read some more, and you watch out for that kind of thing. So watching, I began to put my interpretation upon these things I had seen, and as it shaped itself to me that evening, my interpretation was something in this way. Afterwards, I found I had gotten only a half-truth, or only a glimpse of one facet of the truth. It seemed to me that I had happened upon humanity upon the wane. The ruddy sunset set me thinking of the sunset of mankind. For the first time, I began to realize an odd consequence of the social effort in which we are at present engaged. And yet, come to think, it is a logical consequence enough. Strength is the outcome of need. Security sets a premium on feebleness. The work of ameliorating the conditions of life, the true civilizing process that makes life more and more secure, had gone steadily on to a climax. One triumph of a united humanity over nature had followed another. Things that are now mere dreams had become projects deliberately put in hand and carried forward, and the harvest was what I saw. Oh yeah, here we are trying to get into this gas station, and yeah, there's just no way. It's just way too busy. So we have to go to the other one, which is not busy. So that's kind of nice. Okay, after all, the sanitation and the agriculture of today are still in the rudimentary stage. The science of our time has attacked but a little department of the field of human disease. But even so, it spreads its operations very steadily and persistently. Our agriculture and horticulture destroy a weed just here and there, and cultivate perhaps a score or so of wholesome plants, leaving the greater number to fight out a balance as they can. We improve our favorite plants and animals, and how few they are, gradually by selective breeding. Now a new and better peach, now a seedless grape, now a sweeter and larger flower, now a more convenient breed of cattle. We approve them gradually because our ideals are vague and tentative, and our knowledge is very limited because nature, too, is shy and slow in our clumsy hands. Someday, all this will be better organized, and still better. That is the drift of the current in spite of the eddies. The whole world will be intelligent, educated, and cooperating. Things will move faster and faster towards the subjugation of nature. In the end, wisely and carefully, we shall readjust the balance of animal and vegetable life to suit our human needs. This adjustment, I say, must have been done, and done well. Done indeed for all time, in the space of time across which my machine had leapt. Oh yeah, we got fuel there right away. I wasn't sure if I had left the camera going while I went and got fuel there, so I guess I must have cut that out already. The air was free from gnats, the earth from weeds or fungi. Everywhere were fruits and sweet and delightful flowers. Brilliant butterflies flew hither and thither. The ideal of preventative medicine was attained. Diseases had been stamped out. I saw no evidence of any contagious diseases during all my stay. And I shall have to tell you later that even the process of putrefaction and decay had been profoundly affected by these changes. Social triumphs, too, had been effected. I saw mankind housed in splendid shelters, gloriously clothed, and as yet I had found them engaged in no toil. There were no signs of struggle, neither social nor economical struggle. The shop, the advertisement, traffic, and all that commerce which constitutes the body of our world was gone. It was natural on that golden evening that I should jump at the idea of a social paradise. The difficulty of increasing population had been met, I guessed, and the population had ceased to increase. Ha! All right, let's take a look at this road here. Yeah, there's a great big old storm over on the La Salles there, heading into Moab. It made me kind of wish I was going that direction because it was pretty dang hot. Okay, but with this change in condition comes inevitably adaptations to that change. What, unless biological science is a mass of errors, is the cause of human intelligence and vigor, hardship and freedom, conditions under which the active, strong, and subtle survive, and the weaker go to the wall, conditions that put a premium upon the loyal alliance of capable men, upon self-restraint, patience, and decision, and the institution of the family, and the emotions that arise therein, the fierce jealousy, the tenderness for offspring, parental self-devotion, all found their justification and support in the imminent dangers of the young. Now, where are these imminent dangers? There is a sentiment arising, and it will grow against connubial jealousy, against fierce maternity. Oh yeah, there it is. Against fierce maternity, against passion of all sorts, unnecessary things now, and things that make us uncomfortable, savage survivals, discords in our refined and pleasant life. I thought of the physical slightness of the people, their lack of intelligence, and those big, abundant ruins, and it strengthened my belief in a perfect conquest of nature. For after the battle comes quiet, humanity had been strong, energetic, and intelligent, and had used all its abundant vitality to alter the conditions under which it lived. And now came the reaction of the altered conditions. Whew. All right, let's just take a look at the story. I think we're probably going to end it right there. Oh yeah, we turned off of 191 US 191 North, heading into Moab, and we're turning off here at it's like Utah 211 or something. You can't miss it. It's the only one that gets you into Needles. All right, guys, thanks for coming along. See, and we'll just kind of leave it there. And there's we'll have a picture of our little campsite there. We finally get there. I think we'll probably get there in the next one, maybe two more. From here into Needles is probably a little too long for one, but we'll get there eventually. So we'll give you a little picture of the campsite here, and we get there eventually. Okay, guys. See. Okay, Rosie, take us out. You do your thing.